Continuing here, I was talking about Seth Rich. And this is something that needs to be investigated. And we see how desperate. What's her name? The woman. I always forget her name. She looked petrified. The Democratic operative, Wasserman Schultz, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, right? At the police, the high-ranking police official that wanted to keep Seth Rich's laptop. So what's on that laptop? Okay. And we need to find out these things. Trump needs to talk about these things, and and Arkancide. We need to learn how did a term like Arkancide get made, come up? Where did this evolve from? Okay, we need to learn about these things. These are the kind of people. This is how the world has been ruled. Okay, by these kind of people. They're murderers. There's nothing they won't do. There's no holds barred in their minds. Because at least they pretend, to believe in their cause, okay? But do they really believe in their cause? Okay, no, I don't know. I don't know who. Remember, I don't know who's a deceiver and who is genuinely deceived. No human does. This is why I've got to keep my cool. Everybody's got to keep their cool. Stop the taunting, teasing, name calling, and get serious with these people and get intellectual and say, let's talk. Well, specifics here. Let's hear your argument. Like all these communists showing up on the streets, they won't listen to anything. They're just banging and making noise. They don't want anybody else to have free speech. And they don't have any speech. They don't have any argument. They don't have any demands or anything. They don't even want to learn. They just say, well, I've learned everything I want to learn from my professors who been trained to be a rabid communist, authoritarian, totalitarian, trust in the state and all this crap. When it's all nonsense, it's never worked in history. Okay, I mean, in theory, I'll agree with a socialist and say, look, in theory, yeah, I can see there's some attractive notions about taking from the haves and giving to the have-nots, taking from the rich, giving to the poor, like Robin Hood. It sounds virtuous enough to me. But you see, as soon as you start forcing that, it falls apart. It never has worked in history. Can't be done. It's the nature of the beast, the nature of the human being. You can't force people to do stuff. When you do, they get filled with animosity and they find an escape. And in this case, they just hire an attorney that can help them to evade their taxes. They're not going to do it. So you're always going to be living around these people. And the difference is you have them working for you on your side, or you can create animosity and nothing's going to work. It's just going to get worse and worse and worse. This is what crony capitalism has done. This is where all the conservatives and Republicans and the capitalists out there, they need to explain this, man. Any chance you get to a good socialist, a good communist, whatever they want to call it, good Democrat, good liberal, you've got to explain this stuff to them, man, so that they understand that it is crony capitalism that is so wretched. This is what has turned them communists. Of course they hate it. They hate the growing wealth and income disparity. They hate the exploding poverty and homelessness. Who doesn't? Are you going to hate some liberal, some Democrat, some socialist for blaming capitalism? They hear it in the term. You yourself said it, crony capitalism. They don't know that it's antithetical, that it's the opposite of true capitalism, that the effects, that the results are the opposite. You've got to explain this stuff to people. We need to come together. We need to heal the divide, to explain terms, to realize these are subjective terms. We need to help each other understand, show mercy, show compassion. These words don't have to be so foreign in our vocabulary. Okay, what is written in Scripture? The peacemakers shall be called sons of God. Those that humble themselves are going to be great. Okay, and those that exalt themselves will be humbled. Okay, even if you don't seek to be great in the kingdom of heaven, it doesn't matter. You're still, you still got to go with being true to yourself. So if you seek to be great in heaven, then that's a guy that's become the servant of all men. Okay, whatever job you do, will you do it for anybody? That's what you need to ask yourself. You're out there scrubbing toilets, washing dishes, mowing lawns, working in a fast food joint, working in a factory. Okay, you're going to be great. You're the one that's going to be exalted. Don't worry about it. Those that think that they're so great, very important people, they're the ones that are going to get humbled, because God can raise up servants out of the dust. He doesn't need any of us. And things keep getting worse with all of us, all the great men and women in the world today. We see things keep going down the tube. So how great can any of us really be? We've got to be humble, and we've got to help people understand where we're coming from. And we've got to be clear ourselves of what we're looking for. Because how are you going to get out from under the thumb of tyranny if you don't even know what the hell is tyrannizing you? Or you don't know what you're really looking for? What is an ideal society? What is the society that you're striving for in your mind? Okay, are you really clear about that? What it's going to look like? What role is money going to play in that world? How is it going to be distributed? How is the wealth going to be distributed? Okay, we all need to ask ourselves this. I'm just saying. David Knight ran a clip of David Gergen. Oh my God. This is another bona fide vomitable character. And vomitable is a word I've coined, but I think it's very apropos. You know, it induces vomiting, right? So something that induces vomiting is vomitable. And David Gergen is one of these people I find vomitable. A defender of the Bohemian Grove that Alex Jones infiltrated, you know. Oh, makes me want to barf. So locally here, an idiot FedEx driver, he crashed looked like a brand new delivery van. He sneezed. He said he sneezed. And so when he was passing this big 18-wheeler semi-truck, he hit the back corner, the rear corner. I guess he lost control of the vehicle. Nobody was hurt, but he absolutely totaled the van. I helped my nephew with his, my nephew is an up-and-coming engineer, physicist guy. He's getting a very high degree, very smart guy. He's already teaching calculus. He's a tutor. But I was helping him with his, change out the alternator on his 2001 Ford Focus. And, you know, we were talking about how miserable they made this job. And you just got to understand that this was done deliberately. And I told him, I said, listen, Will, I said, if you're an engineer working for an automotive manufacturer and they told you make this deliberately hard so that it costs a lot of money and it dissuades people from keeping an older vehicle and to want to buy a new one, would you do it? And, you know, he didn't seem to be too happy about answering the question. But obviously, you know, his conscience was being tried at such a notion. But this is what's behind all this planned obsolescence. That's what it is. I mean, how absurd is it? It makes me sick to my stomach. The entire system is rife. It's imbued. It's inundated with evil goings on. And that's just one example. They make stuff hard to fix on purpose so that you go out and buy something new. And people say, oh, well, you've got to understand they got to make money or they'll be out of business. No, I don't understand that. I don't buy that. Nor do I buy this idea that the vast majority of people that are employed in the system today, their jobs revolve around the problem. And that if we just simply prevent the problem, which is desperate extreme poverty to the point of people dying out on the streets, then there'd be mass unemployment. And people say, well, yeah, but see, you solve the problem, you got mass unemployment. What are you going to do with all these people? Oh, my God, what is wrong with us? What is wrong with us as a species that we can't say that's got to be okay? If it's God's will that we dry up the problems and all of a sudden all these useless jobs dry up, that we better find something useful to do for humanity, and that's a bad thing, then there's something very, very wrong. And it scares the crap out of me to think what we're going to have to go through to wake us up, to come out of our mesmerized state of madness. Oh my God, what is wrong? We've all capitulated, acquiesced to this madness to some degree, and I'm sick of it. We all got to just pick up our cross and admit it's true. We can't stay on this track. We got to turn the ship around, turn the train around. The tide's got to turn. The worm's got to turn. We need relief from these evildoers, these tyrants that are destroying humanity. And it's still getting worse as I speak. That's why I'm excited about it, because it's tough, man. It's tough. And it's not getting easier until we round that bend, until that worm, there's evidence that worm has turned. And that means your cost of living has to come to a grinding halt. And then it has to turn around to where your currency starts inflating in worth, okay? Because your cost of living is waning. It's diminishing. It's going down. This is what we need. This is our road to freedom, okay? Because freedom is an absolute quality. And if you're not financially free, then you're not truly free. Freedom is a very subjective term. It depends on how are you using it. You know, how is it being, because you're not in jail, because you have free speech? Fine, that's valid ways to use the term. But when you just blanketly throw it out there, freedom, we have freedom in America. It's like, how great is the guy's freedom when he's freaking, he's completely rejected, dejected out on the streets with no help, no outreach. Nobody saying, here, man, we're a Christian nation. We call ourselves a Christian nation. For crying out loud, that is so absurd. It just makes my head spin. And we're getting hit on so many fronts. I mean, we all got to get it, man. We got to understand that these people mean business. This new world order cabal, they're out for blood. They're out for genocide. They don't care about us. They want us dead. These are totalitarians. These are authoritarians. These are fascists. And the evidence for fascism, in my definition of fascist, is when the government, whoever that is, see, again, we got to define government. I'm talking about the bureaucrats, the political class, okay, in this case, because the true definition is we the people. That's in our Constitution. But I'm talking about the definition that we all use is we're talking about the political class, the bureaucrat class, right? They're working against the best interests of the people by lying and deceiving, by telling people high housing costs are wonderful. That's like saying it's wonderful that your currency is worth much less and less every day. No, they're doing it because they have an ulterior motive. They want more taxes. And when property values go up, is it really more valuable when the cost, the price of housing goes up? That means they get more tax dollars. It's that simple. And it's a meager percentage. It's like usually 1 and less than 2% property taxes. So people think, oh, that's nothing. That's nominal. But that's why they need to keep raising the prices so high. It adds up if you got $1 million property, because then you're paying over $10,000 a year, even at 1% interest. I mean, 1% taxes, property tax, 1% property tax. There was a horrible apartment fire, a high-rise apartment fire in London. 17 plus killed. They expect a lot more to be found dead. And this all has to do with money. They say they just did a refurbishing of the place. They probably used inferior materials that could catch fire. Sprinkler system was out of order. It didn't work, whatever. There wasn't one. I don't know. Money, right? It's all money. Well, if we had more money, we could put dividers on the highway and stop having these horrible head-on wrecks. Money, it's all money. You got to bust out your ball joints and screw up the steering and suspension on your car because we can't afford the potholes. More money. More money is the answer for everything. Even King Solomon thousands of years ago said that money is the answer for everything. Okay, this is disgusting. Okay, this is what they've done to us. They've convinced us that money is the answer for everything. And this is the so-called reality we all live in. This is evil. God, we're screwed up species. A UPS workplace shooting in San Francisco killed 3. I don't know if that includes the guy killing himself or not, but, you know, money. Just money. The guy was forced to do too much overtime, he felt. God knows, I mean, what it's all about. Maybe he thought the other 3 guys were getting off the overtime and he was getting stuck with it. So he resented the favoritism, the reverse discrimination, the affirmative action, right? He resented that, so he did this. I'm not justifying it. I'm just saying. It's money. Again, every evil under the sun. It's all money, money, money. And we got to admit it. At least confess it, man, to God. He knows everything about it. I don't like the idea of everybody knowing everything I do. But one thing I know for sure, God knows everything. And we can't hide from that. I still believe in the Fourth Amendment. We should be safe in our papers and effects. Everything in your computer files is your papers and effects these days. Okay, so, Yeah, I don't like the idea of being spied on because I'm so outright and I talk about everything I want to talk about, and that's the stuff I want in the public. I want the public to hear. But, other stuff, we deserve privacy. Everybody, I mean, it's just like a family going home at night. You go lock the doors and you isolate as if that's a bad thing. You want security, protectionism, right? Are you a protectionist because you protect your family or your nation? Are you a protectionist? Are you isolationist because you say my country first, my family